multiple witnesses.
People saw these phenomena right over their heads.
In one case, an entire family.
They thought that these creatures were coming from outer space.
In another, an entire airport.
These pilots had never seen anything like that before.
And then an entire city.
And they were absolutely terrified.
The Phoenix Lights. Do we now know exactly what an entire city witnessed?
So you have to ask yourself this question: how long have we been kept in the dark?
Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Does new information tell us what really took flight?
There was this effort to cover it up.
The Kelly Hopkinsville incident. Do new explanations shed light on what really happened?
There was a standoff for 3 hours.
With many witnesses comes many theories.
They had no idea what these were.
What's going on?
Now, new information is bringing us closer to solving these American mysteries. When there are many witnesses to a mysterious event, the chances of solving it should be much higher. But some incidents, even decades old, still remain unsolved. One such case involves a rural family in Kentucky.
The Kelly Hopkinsville encounter is one of the greatest mysteries in the paranormal field.
They claim their home was besieged by unknown entities.
Oh, there's someone over there too!
This is the longest alien encounter between aliens and human beings ever on record.
Who were these strange creatures that terrorized this family? Were they beings from another planet? Or will new evidence reveal their true identity? August 21st, 1955, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. A group of friends and family members have gathered at the Kelly farmhouse for a little R&R.
It was really quite a few people. Some children of various ages, including older ones who had spouses, and a visiting couple.
The men were going to go to work the following day, and they brought their wives with them so that the women could stay together. And one of the men stepped outside to pump himself a glass of water, and he saw a disc-shaped craft come in for a landing in a gully on the outskirts of the farm.
He sees something and he, comes in and is telling everybody that he sees this mysterious craft.
And it was like this huge thing. I don't know what it was, but it had these
He was kind of the storyteller of the family.
Lights shining everywhere.
You just need to take a deep breath.
I'm feeling fine, but I'm telling you, there's something out there.
Nobody believed that he had actually seen this.
We saw something flying around. Up there, Billy.
You guys gotta believe me. There's something out there.
About an hour later, the dog was barking ferociously, and the men went outside to find out what was going on. They thought that maybe they had house guests.
And then they noticed that there are these strange creatures, small creatures, 3.5 feet tall. These creatures have long arms with talons on them and long pointed ears. They aren't walking, but they're floating. They grabbed their shotgun. Both of them were terrified.
Oh, there's someone over there too!
They came inside.
Get back to your mom. Get back to your mom. Come here.
And then there was a standoff for 3 hours.
In only a matter of minutes, more creatures suddenly appear, surrounding the farmhouse.
As these entities approached the windows, they shot through the screens.
Stay back, come.
So these people used tons of shotgun shells to hold off these beings for 3 hours?
The woman that was witnessing the creatures approaching them, she thought they seemed to have their hands up. She felt that they were maybe trying to engage and they weren't doing it in a hostile way. And so at one point when the gunfire was taking place, she asked the person that was firing to stop because she thought that they might not be as harmful as the other people felt that they were.
The entities eventually retreat and disappear. When the coast is clear, the family contacts local authorities, telling them of their harrowing ordeal.
The police, the military, and the sheriff's department went back to that home. They searched the land, they searched the home. All they found were holes in the screen that had been made by the bullets as they shot through the screen.
They're like, at least this big.
But no matter how incredulous it sounds, the witnesses are adamant in what they experienced.
They separately sketched the same entity, even though they did not have time to discuss the characteristics.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
They thought that these creatures were coming from outer space because that was the only way they could describe them.
Is it possible they were telling the truth? That the creatures they saw that night were actually malevolent, non-human entities?
One might think that these were a bunch of crazy, uneducated, superstitious, moonshine-drinking people. Well, they had an alien encounter. An unidentified flying object landed on the Kelly farm that night. These non-human entities came from that craft that had landed. As an investigator who has seen sufficient evidence to believe that we are being visited by an advanced civilization who fly in these disc-shaped craft, who carry entities that are non-human, I suspect that this is what might have happened at that ranch.
These creatures were nothing like we have seen on Earth. We don't have anything on this planet that has long claws or talons, eyes like this.
I have interviewed more than 1,000 experiencers.
Yeah, just like that.
This description has been given to me over and over again throughout the years of my investigation of similar cases.
In the same time frame, in the 50s, there were humanoid reports like this over in France and in South America. So there were reports and cases all over the world.
Further proof that what the family saw were alien beings was the keen interest in their case by the top-secret government program entitled Project Blue Book.
The United States Air Force at the time had a program, Project Blue Book, set up specifically to research and investigate UFOs. Something like this comes to their attention, of course they're going to take a look. Why not?
Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who was the astronomical consultant to Project Blue Book, did an investigation of the event itself and stated that it was carried as unidentified in Project Blue Book files.
Did non-human entities visit the Kelly farm? Or will another theory solve this decades-old mystery?
I spoke to the state trooper who actually was at that scene, and he told me he thought that the story came out of a bottle.
The Kelly-Hopkinsville incident is one of the most famous alleged alien encounters in American history. But many experts think the testimonies of the eyewitnesses cannot be trusted.
The Hopkinsville/Kelly story is really a study in silliness. Some people call it aliens, some people say they're goblins. Really? To set the scene, one has a group of 11 people at a farmhouse. And that situation was perhaps complicated a little bit by drinking going on. I spoke to the state trooper who actually was at that scene, and he told me he thought that the story came out of a bottle. And indeed, the people the next day that arrived on the scene did notice some beer cans in the trash.
But why aliens?
If you look at the time, you find that just literally a few weeks before this event, the science fiction movie This Island Earth was released. What do we see? A hostile, bug-eyed monster harassing people and threatening them. It's a classic case, I think, of where science fiction plays a role in creating these sorts of stories.
Gosh, I saw something flying outside.
And these people, I have no doubt, saw that movie. Once somebody puts the idea on the table, I think everyone else says, yeah, that's fun.
If you expect to see something, that may be what you will see.
There's some over there, too!
These people made up the story for notoriety. Sometimes you see this sort of thing in a very small rural community, that someone can become the center of attention just with some bizarre story. People come up to them and buy them a drink in the bar. Everyone's talking about them. It's a great thing.
But what if these families really did see something? Could there be another explanation in what they saw other than non-human entities?
I think there's no doubt that they shot at something. The height of the figure, they first said it was 4 feet. That's not very tall for a monster. If you were making up a monster, scary monster tale, that to me meant a lot. If you go through the elements of description, I think the creature was a great horned owl.
Great horned owls are one of the largest of its kind, with huge wingspans. They are native to the Americas with a sizable population in Kentucky, the location where the alleged alien encounter took place. Could this be what they saw?
They were describing great horned owls. I listed points of similarity. The great horned owl has long ears, or to be correct, ear tufts. They have large staring eyes. When it lifts its wings up, if you see it from the front, the tips of its wings, that it looks like 5 fingers.
But it begs the question, what's the explanation for the flying disc seen landing prior to the supposed owl sightings?
I think he saw a bright light zip across the sky and disappear behind the tree line. That is a very typical description of what happens when you see a meteor.
So what is the truth of what happened that night in 1955? Perhaps we will never really know, but the witnesses insist their experience was real. 40 years later, after the Kelly-Hopkinsville event, and 2,000 miles away, there was a mysterious event that will go down as the largest mass sighting of a UFO in American history.
They described them as 6 points of light, totally equidistant from each other. What were they?
Conspiracies were doing the rounds. Everyone was saying, what's going on?
In 1997, a now infamous event occurred over Phoenix. Thousands of residents witnessed a formation of strange lights moving slowly in the sky above the city.
Oh my God.
This mysterious event is now famously referred to as the Phoenix Lights Incident.
One of the most incredible mysteries in modern times is the Phoenix Lights mass sighting.
People saw something unusual and they didn't know what it was.
So you have to ask yourself this question. How long have we been kept in the dark?
Was the Phoenix Lights the largest mass sighting of an unidentified flying object in human history? Or will newly uncovered evidence point to a more shocking explanation? Just after 8 p.m. on March 13th, 1997, Phoenix residents noticed something strange hovering over the city. Witnesses described 5 or 6 amber-color lights in a massive V shape.
People describe it as being about a mile in diameter. The craft flew slowly over Phoenix. It was seen by hundreds of thousands of people.
Hi, yes. Yes, we've had a few calls, yeah.
The National UFO Reporting Center in Washington, D.C., which collates UFO sightings, received an astonishing 700 calls from frantic eyewitnesses, the most reports they had ever received for a single sighting since they formed back in 1974. One witness was so astonished by what she saw, she gave up her medicine practice to uncover the truth of the inexplicable event.
It really set me on a journey to try to find a logical source and meaning for what I had witnessed. There were 6 points of light totally equidistant from each other, massive span over a mile wide. These giant orbs, these balls of light, seemed to be attached to something, boomerang or triangle shaped, and I tried to take everything in mentally, the size, the shape, the color. They were definitely oval shaped, like an egg on its side, and there was a uniform amber color, and it didn't glare at all. I felt compelled to document them on film, and here I'm photographing this while it's happening. The entire thing elevated slowly and then moved in synchrony behind South Mountain, south of the airport. What were they? There was no explanation.
What is that?
The story gets even weirder when later that same evening, the same unexplained phenomena reappears over Phoenix.
The Phoenix Lights actually occurred in 2 installments. About 8:30, people saw bright lights.
See that?
On the second part of Phoenix Lights, which occurred around 10 o'clock at night, there were 2 totally different episodes.
And it was so unnerving that the next morning I woke up, I figured there must be a logical explanation for this and started to call around.
Dr. Lin meets with government officials, but her photographic evidence of the massive V-shaped craft with luminous orbs is met with bewilderment.
They were more interested in looking at my photographic data. So I said, so what was it? And there was silence. And then one of them said, beats me. I said, you're supposed to know what's in your airspace. They had no idea what these were. They did not show up on radar.
What is that? Dr. Lin would go on to interview many other eyewitnesses who were certain that what they saw was not of this earth. Is it possible that the Phoenix Lights were one or more extraterrestrial crafts?
I think the size of the craft that people describe as a triangular shape That would suggest that this was an extraterrestrial craft.
There were very credible witnesses that are realtors that were out in an area where there were stakes in the ground. The craft that they saw that was right above them was actually 2 miles wide. People saw these phenomena right over their heads and looked into these giant wells, or what they called canisters, of spinning energy. It didn't reflect down. And some people saw these orbs detach from the craft itself, go out into the environment and redock with it later. Some people saw these craft take off at blink speed without even dispersing the air. There was no sound at all. Our solar system is only 4 to 6 billion years old. It's a very young solar system. There are scientists now postulating that there could be sentient, intelligent entities out there, billions of years ahead of us. And if they are, it's just reasonable that by now they have probably found a way to come and visit us.
If it's true that the Phoenix Lights was an extraterrestrial craft, the government nor military was not disclosing any knowledge of it. Is it possible they were involved in a cover-up?
Rumors were flying. Conspiracies were doing the rounds. Everyone was saying, what's going on? There was almost hysteria in the local community. There was a press conference put on by the governor, Fife Symington. So the governor comes out and he addresses this question about these UFO sightings. And then he says, I am now able to reveal the culprit. And he brings out his own chief of staff dressed in an alien suit. Well, of course, there's laughter, there's hilarity. He's made a joke of it.
In a bizarre turn of events, years later, Governor Symington would admit that he too witnessed the Phoenix Lights.
Fife Symington came out and said, no, I think this was real. It was true. He thinks there was something otherworldly about this.
If the governor's confession is authentic and that the Phoenix Lights was indeed an extraterrestrial craft, then why did he wait so long to go make it public?
He was probably approached. He was told that he needed to keep this thing under wraps. Many government officials have to this whole phenomenon because there is fear on behalf of some authorities that people would panic.
But is it possible there is another less outlandish reason why they would be covering it up? The Phoenix Lights may have a more alarming origin.
They just want to judge people's reaction to it, see how they would respond, see if there would be an all-out panic.
Of the thousands of Arizona residents who witnessed the strange lights over Phoenix in March 1997, many believe that the craft was extraterrestrial in origin.
This was very real. Here was a mile-wide UFO of triangular shape that actually just flew over a major metropolitan city and changed the lives of tens of thousands of people.
But is it possible there is an explanation more down to earth?
On July 24th, I get a call from one of the heads of the Air National Guard, and she says, oh, Dr. Lynn, I think we know what those lights were back in March. And I said, you do? Terrific. I said, what were they? She says, do you believe in all these months, no one ever looked at the log for visiting Air National Guard? And that must be what some people saw. That's exactly what she said.
In a surprising announcement, just 2 months after the alleged sighting, the military releases their findings. The strange lights witnessed were just part of a routine military exercise in the Phoenix area. It was not an extraterrestrial craft.
Phoenix Lights was a genuine mystery at the beginning. People saw something unusual and they didn't know what it was. But once it's sorted out and we look at the actual evidence, it's just scientifically clear that the first phase was a flight of the Maryland Air National Guard coming in for some maneuvers. And the second part of Phoenix Lights, which occurred around 10 o'clock at night, the planes flew in, chevron formation, and then they dropped these flares on parachutes.
The second event almost certainly involved flares.
Does this solve the mystery of the Phoenix Lights, that the strange luminous orbs thousands of people witnessed were the National Guard flying over Phoenix, and then later that evening they dropped illumination flares?
It's very common for planes to drop flares, and they drop them on parachutes so they will hover in the air a longer time. It's just scientifically clear that the first phase was a squadron flying in, and the second was a parachute flare drop. End of case.
So who is telling the truth? Was it, as the military said, illumination flares, or as the thousands of witnesses claim, that it was an extraterrestrial craft? Or is there another possibility that the Phoenix Lights may have been a top-secret military social experiment?
In my opinion, the Phoenix Lights were one of ours, meaning one of our own craft that we designed, that we developed, not an alien craft. We now advanced to where we now can maybe produce a ship like what we saw in the Phoenix Lights. So this could be part of a very top secret project. And the reason why I believe that the Phoenix Light craft is most likely one of ours, meaning created by humans here on Earth, is because when you look into some of the already declassified military documents, you find a lot of these delta wing and triangular shaped craft already in existence way back since the 1940s.
It is now well known that the U.S. military has been pouring billions of dollars into experimental aircraft with high-tech propulsion and energy systems at the cutting edge of technology.
You'll notice that a lot of military craft are shaped like triangles. And there's a couple of reasons why. They fly at very, very high speeds, which requires a lot of strength. Otherwise, the wings would just flip right off. There have been sightings of it in many other places where these triangular craft with these lights underneath have been recorded doing different types of maneuvers.
If this was a top-secret U.S. man-made craft, a question arises. Why would the military fly it over a major city and be so exposed?
What happened with the Phoenix Lights was a social experiment. The military was seeing if they could fly over a major city without the military scrambling jets and shooting it down. If you can do it there and get away with it, you can do it anywhere. If that was possible, then you've got a potent weapon that you could use in espionage over foreign countries.
It's an astonishing claim that on March 13th, 1997, Phoenix residents were human guinea pigs unwittingly participating in a top-secret social experiment.
I really believe that whoever was piloting it was on orders to just kind of fly over silently and judge people's reaction to it, see how they would respond, see if there would be an all-out panic.
But experts' claims of alleged top-secret military aircraft has not and most likely will never be acknowledged by the U.S. government or military. But their media silence has done little to stop Dr. Lin on her mission to uncover the truth.
22 years later, I'm still looking. It's very easy for someone to give an opinion of what the Phoenix Lights were if they haven't seen it.
See that?
What is that?
I have no idea.
It's so crazy.
But once you experience the profound and awesome and incredible anomalous aerial phenomena, it changes your life forever. It changes your worldview forever. It certainly has changed me forever.
The Phoenix Lights wouldn't be the last mass UFO sighting. In Chicago in 2006, something mysterious appeared over its busiest airport, sending shockwaves around the world.
A number of aircrew, ground crew that saw this thing just hovering. Was only a 5-minute incident, basically changing the lives of millions of people in that moment.
On November 7th, 2006, an extraordinary event happened over Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Several airline employees claim they saw something hovering in the sky above the tarmac.
What is that?
Everyone is looking at this and trying to figure out what is this.
There's no explanation for what happened.
There was this effort to cover it up.
What was the mysterious object spotted above O'Hare? Was it, as many claim, an extraterrestrial craft, a military vehicle? Or will new evidence reveal a more startling explanation? Chicago, November 7th, 2006. O'Hare International Airport is the third largest hub in America, with direct flights to over 217 destinations around the world. But at 4:15 p.m., something appears above the airport, not on their flight roster.
These people, a ground crew pushing a plane back from a gate, and some pilots, they saw what appeared to be a gray hazy disc hanging below a level stratus layer.
People saw this saucer-shaped craft hovering over the terminal for about 5 minutes. Everyone is looking at this and trying to figure out what is this, and it shouldn't be there.
We've got baggage handlers, we've got pilots, and they are saying, we are seeing something unidentified right over gate C-17. What's going on?
Witnesses estimate that the disc-shaped object is about 1,500 feet above the airport. After only a few minutes, the object disappears.
Basically, it just shot up at a very tremendous speed through the clouds, leaving a big hole in the clouds.
These pilots genuinely had never seen anything like that before. This was something incredibly unusual.
If you've got an unidentified object in international airport airspace, you've got a problem. They had to shut down operations for a while to figure out what this was. Nobody has procedures what to do if you see a UFO above your airport.
But despite multiple eyewitnesses, officials for O'Hare and the FAA deny there was anything unusual in the skies above the airport that day.
It was real, people saw it, and then subsequently there was this effort to cover it up. And the airport authorities suppressed the photographs from ever being released. They made sure that the pilots and those in air traffic control wouldn't come out in public and give official testimonies.
Pilots thought twice about speaking out. They were worried that the airline might ground them.
What did the pilots and the ground crew see in the sky that had authorities so concerned to cover it up?
It was a very large, metallic-looking flying saucer-shaped device. I think it probably was an extraterrestrial craft.
I believe that the Chicago O'Hare object was a real, unidentified flying object.
Every witness did have one common thing. The object made no sound. And it was spinning, too. People saw it spinning. That's significant.
And people are saying, wow, this must be an extraterrestrial because I've never seen that before.
I don't believe it was anything from this planet.
Evidence of this is the speed in which the craft flew up after hovering over the airport.
We estimated the speed of it at 2,000 feet a second. I mean, that's from 0 to 2,000 feet a second, which equates almost to Mach 2, twice the speed of sound. If you go from 0 to 1,200 miles an hour in a second, you're going to get crushed. It's going to be a G-force astronomical proportions. What human aircraft could do that?
If the craft was extraterrestrial in origin, why would this advanced alien species choose one of the biggest airports in the world to reveal themselves?
They wanted us to see them, that's obvious. They showed up and said, here we are.
O'Hare International Airport is the third busiest airport in the United States. And so this craft, by showing itself, even though only for 5 minutes, you had hundreds of people seeing this. Was it extraterrestrials wanting the people of Earth to understand that we're being visited, wanting the world to understand that we actually have developed advanced technologies that are capable of doing things like hovering and then flying off into space at incredible speeds?
Many believe this brazen display of superior technology was seen as a not-so-subtle threat by government authorities. Could this explain the cover-up?
They don't want the public to get scared. They don't want the public to know that there are things in the sky that the U.S. government or any other government cannot protect us from. I believe the military has known extraterrestrial spacecraft have been here for years. What they know and what they say are two entirely different things. You have several agencies within the U.S. government that have UFO information.
But not everyone is convinced that what witnesses saw above O'Hare Airport was an extraterrestrial craft. Could new evidence shed light on its true origin?
The United States is not the only one with advanced aerospace technology.
This thing imposes itself on U.S. airspace.
This was a group that wanted to make a powerful statement.
November 7th, 2006. Multiple witnesses claim they saw an alien flying saucer hovering above Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Many believe the government is covering it up, but what if it wasn't an extraterrestrial craft?
Well, UFO obviously means unidentified flying object. Now, unidentified flying object does not mean extraterrestrial spacecraft. It means that we don't know what it is.
New evidence may reveal that what the pilots and ground crew saw was not from outer space, but a more earthly enemy.
The United States is not the only one with advanced aerospace technology.
We have to be worried about Russian stealth technology and Chinese stealth technology. They probably have some little tricks up their sleeve that we don't.
It's certainly quite reasonable to believe that these two countries have advanced programs as well. Not be impossible for them to send something of strategic reconnaissance device in our airspace.
Some experts believe the O'Hare craft may have been an attempt by other countries to show off their superior technological capabilities.
I think that this was actually an acclimation attempt. They wanted this object to be seen.
What is that?
By many people, credible people. They wanted to show that over very sensitive airspace, because airports, I mean, you cannot just fly in a craft into an airport.
The fact that this thing imposes itself on controlled U.S. airspace, it is interesting that more people didn't freak out about this thing violating airspace.
But it raises a question. Why wouldn't the U.S. government acknowledge their airspace was breached by a foreign enemy?
To admit there's a technology out there that you don't understand or have the ability to deal with, that's a problem. When you admit a weakness, the enemy knows they can capitalize on it.
But both the Chinese and Russian government deny they were behind the O'Hare craft. So, if it wasn't an aircraft of a known enemy, what did witnesses see hovering over Chicago's O'Hare that day?
I think there's a conventional explanation for what happened at Chicago O'Hare. A rare and unusual but perfectly explainable weather phenomenon.
In fact, after they conducted their investigation, the FAA concluded that the circular object seen over O'Hare was just a hole in the cloud. Witnesses mentioned that there was a saucer-shaped hole in the clouds above O'Hare.
The first thing I thought of when I heard this story was that it sounds an awful lot like the formation of what's called a hole punch cloud. So hole punch clouds are, on a grand scheme, not all that unusual. They can be seen almost anywhere, someplace on the world, almost any day, just where the conditions are right. But on that day in November of 2006, the conditions were perfect for the formation of hole punch clouds. You get a level of clouds, the stratus clouds, that gets super cooled, that is cooled below the freezing point of water, and then something passes through the clouds, like, an airplane, and leaves something for that water to condense onto, and it freezes into droplets of ice. The ice falls down from the cloud layer, spreads out in a circle, and for a while will hang below the cloud deck as a hazy gray disk. In the early reports, nobody saw this disk depart. They simply assumed they saw it there, and then it's not there, and then there's this hole in the clouds. It must have punched through. Now, number one, the physics doesn't work that way. You get a big disk punching through the clouds, you're going to get this big spiraling draft, not just a Wile E. Coyote hole punched in the clouds there.
With so many witnesses, we do know that something definitely occurred over O'Hare Airport, Phoenix, or in Hopkinsville. Only time will tell if the truth will finally reveal itself and turn speculation into fact.